Zach, I'm looking at like pick 44 now. Not that I look at like all the picks, but pick 44 is something that I've kind of focused on, and I wanted to run by. You mentioned Carson Swessinger from UCLA. Is that a guy that you are considering at 44, the linebacker?
Yeah, I would consider him at 44.
Okay. We're still kind of waiting. We got the full slate of tests from him today. Did you have what he ran and all that stuff like that, you said?
Yes. Let me pull that back up for you. Hold on 1 second. I believe.
But he had a 39.5-inch vertical at the combine, so the explosiveness is there with that. The thing that he had 18 quarterback pressures on 62 passes. Did you find that, like, I said this guy has got the ability not only to cover, but also the ability to be like a blitzer guy.
Yeah, I thought some of his downhill work was some of the most exciting part of his tape.
Yeah.
Like his ability to absolutely the blitzing, but his instincts, like his ability to diagnose and then fill the gap and absolutely be explosive at the attack point to stop the run game. Like he definitely can cover, but I thought he was really good going downhill. So his numbers, he jumped 10.7 on the broad.
Yeah.
6.9 on the 3-cone, which I think is the same time that Fred Warner had coming out.
Sure.
And then 4.1 on the 20-yard shuttle.
Yeah, 4.1. That's an outstanding time. And here's a team that's looking for linebackers. And I, you know what, I would absolutely consider him there at 44. And you said he is the second best linebacker on your board, right?
Yeah, he's behind Jahad Campbell as the number 2 linebacker. I mean, he's a first-team All-American. And the thing is, as we mentioned, he's really only got 1 year of starting across his 4 years at UCLA. But I think he's a guy that he's got some traits that really look like he could be an elite talent to the position.
I agree with you.
So I think he's going to end up going higher than maybe some thought initially because it's a thinner linebacker group. And I think if you want him, you probably do
have to give it 44. Yep, I agree with you. Jalen Noel from Iowa State. If you don't draft a wide receiver at 12, would you consider Jalen Noel at 44?
So I've got him more as a third rounder, but I do like the tape. I'm a fan of the player.
Do you feel like he should be higher there, or the third round grade you feel really, really good about?
I feel good about it. 76. I think at 44, I'd be looking at like a Jalen Royals out of Utah State. I'd be looking at Trey Harris at Ole Miss if he's there. Jack Besh out of TCU. But the Cowboys might really like Noel, and I don't have an issue with it if they do because the tape's really good. I think he's better than Higgins, even though Higgins is a better player. I think you see more of the things that are going to translate from a route running and in creating separation naturally that you know is going to work in the NFL. And Jalen Noel, for his size, even though he's a little bit of a shorter stature, he'll go up and make some big catches. Like he'll elevate, extension is there. He is a fun player to watch, very, very quick.
You wouldn't take him at 44 probably because of the size, right? Because of the height.
And I think there just might be some wide receivers I like more there at 44.
Sure. How about Donovan Jackson, the guard from Ohio State?
You know I would. I put Donovan Jackson as my 15th best player. He was my last first-round grade. I love him. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the best overall lineman from this draft.
You think he could get to you at 44?
I don't think so. But if he were there...
Would you consider him, say, because he's a first-round grade on your board, you would
consider him at 12.
You would absolutely...
if he was there at 44... Yeah,
you'd
sign me up. We'd be having a Cooper Beebe night, baby. We'd be cracking Miller Lights there in the studio.
Talk about Donovan Jackson a little bit, though.
So Donovan Jackson was the left guard at Ohio State. So that is the question.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have a worry about, because your need is
You're not going to move. You're not going to move. We've learned we're not going to move.
We're not moving Beebe.
We're not moving Beebe.
So Donovan Jackson then would be your starter at right guard.
Yeah.
So there would be the debate in the room. If you want to take a guard, you've got Tyler Booker from Alabama.
Sure.
Who is a stronger, meaner player. Both have some nastiness in the way they block.
But the pin and pull stuff is better with Donovan Jackson.
I think Donovan Jackson can fit any scheme.
Yeah.
I think Booker is more of your power run scheme guy. I think Donovan Jackson fits perfectly in the pin and pull, like what we've seen Clayton Adams want to use.
Yeah.
I think Donovan Jackson can slide in day one, and he showed the flex to be able to play left tackle and did it really well over the extended run that the Buckeyes had in the college football playoff. So I'm a big fan of Donovan Jackson, and everything I've heard from just trying to poke around it from coaches at Ohio State, like the stuff you heard about Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah.
That seems to be real.
Josh Simmons.
From Josh Simmons, excuse me, the left tackle. Yeah. Donovan Jackson is like the work hard guy. You don't have any character concern issues with him. super intelligent, high IQ player, willing to do anything the team needs him to do. I love him, and I think maybe he's not an all-pro, but he's going to be a 10-year starter for you.
What about Siobhan Revelle from East Carolina? Now, okay, that's a first round talent right there. Is this the Cowboys at 44 saying, okay, we're not going to be able to grab, we're not taking a corner at 12, but would you take this kid at 44?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I've got him as my number 3 corner. And I'm sorry, I got a cough drop in my mouth here, but
you're doing your thing, man.
This dude, long press corner, like I feel like if Al Harris was still here, I would have just locked him in as a possibility for the Cowboys already. But I think if you could get him at 44, that's a first-round player that could have maybe been the number 1 corner in this class if it wasn't for the ACL. And he ran already, and he ran a good 40 times, so it seems like the recovery from that, he's got the opportunity to be the best defensive back in this class. He's a willing tackler, doesn't shy away from contact. I think he's got the good recovery speed. The only knock can be a little grabby.
Sure.
So sometimes, like, he doesn't have the natural hip fluidity that maybe you'll see like a Jahdae Barron have when you watch him play. So when he has to go ahead and somebody wants to run a double move against him, maybe he can get a tick late, and so now he's going to grab to try and catch up. But I love Siobhan Revelle. I thought the tape at East Carolina, 6'2", 200. You want to play bigger on the outside? Sign me up at 44. Blue Star Special.
Of the 6'2", 200-pound type players, and Revelle being one of them, Will Johnson's the other.
Mm-hmm.
You have Revelle over Will Johnson, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
And
see, I
could be so wrong about that. I feel like I'm doing Will Johnson a disservice in a way. I don't know why. It's just how I felt about him when I watched him.
It's just the question about the Will Johnson, though, about, like I say, does he really, really have like the deep speed? Does he have the ability to like run with guys? And at 6'2", 200 pounds, can he move as well as, say, a guy like Revelle can?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the biggest question I have, and I don't feel like it's doing Will Johnson a disservice. I have the questions about his ability to run. I mean, that's the thing that worries me the most. How do you have your 3 technique defensive tackle guys?
Okay,
because they've got Aeneas Peoples, and I'm talking about people around the league, or say, hey, Broaddus, you need to consider this Aeneas Peoples from Virginia Tech as a 3 technique
at 44.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, I've probably got like 6 guys ahead of him at that spot. Like, I'd be considering, like, if Derek Harmon fell, it'd be a dream. Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State, Jordan Phillips out of Maryland, I'd consider there over Peebles. Alfred Collins, I'm a huge fan of there. There's T.J. Sanders out of South Carolina, more of a 3-tech guy. Darius Alexander of Toledo. And then I'd kind of start to talk about Peebles. I've got Peebles in the 3rd, right around with like Joshua Farmer from Florida State. I'd think of him at 76, not at 44.
Yeah, I was thinking more of a 3rd-round guy, but I'm talking to like Gang of 7 guys.
Interesting.
And they're all saying, yeah, you need to watch this Peebles guy.
He's going to go higher than we think, huh?
Yeah, he's probably going to.
I'll go back and do a double check. I mean, I'm kind of at that part now where we've seen so many guys. Like, I can go back and do some homework and like reassess.
No, I just was curious. To me, because I thought the same thing as you did. I was thinking about a guy that, as a 3 technique, I was like going, okay, cool, that's fine. But to me, okay, if you're thinking about defensive tackle in the 2nd, you're thinking more 1s than you are 3s, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going 1s that can also give me, like, I think the good thing is most of the 1s in this draft can also give you some pass rush ability. They're not just your typical, like, 1 run-stuffing defender. Like, I think Alfred Collins can get upfield a little bit, right? I think Tyleik Williams shows the ability to get upfield and push the pocket some. So I think this is a more athletic group when it comes to bigger-bodied 1-techs than you previously have seen.
What do you think about, we talked a little bit about the safety group.
Yeah.
The fact that they were bringing in Makuba as a 30-visit guy from Texas.
I'd love him at 44.
Do you think legitimately, though, safety, do you think that they're thinking about replacing Wilson or replacing Hooker here with somebody that...
I think they could be looking at replacing Wilson for sure. Because that's a guy you can still post June 1 him, and you're saving, I think it's $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be... you're winning on the cap, and Andrew Makuba would be a tremendous, or Kevin Winston Jr., who we talked about on the draft show yesterday from Penn State.
Yeah.
Like, those would be intriguing options for me there at 44.
Would you like taking a safety more at 44 or the one in the 3rd round?
I don't think any of these safeties are going to make it to round 3, like the top guys. I've got them all in the 2nd. And maybe we get lucky, and maybe one of these guys, maybe because like Kevin Winston Jr. is coming off an injury and he's only got 1 year starting, maybe he slides to 76. But I'd be surprised if a Makuba or an Xavier Watts from Notre Dame, one of those guys goes. It seems like Nick Emanwari, even though we're not as high as him as some others, seems like he could be a 1st-round pick.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Whoever wants to take him, I hope he ends up being awesome.
That tape is not as good as that workout.
Little rich from me.
Little rich. What about the tight end? Is that kind of a thing that, we've seen the Cowboys before take second-round tight ends, but is Mason Graham do enough for you to maybe take him there?
Mason Taylor, yeah, I'd take him at 44.
Yeah,
I think Mason Taylor would instantly be, and you guys know I am a Jason Ferguson truther. I stand by him. I think last year, hey, it didn't work out, but I'm hoping he bounces back this year. Problem is, you're going to have to pay him too. He's on a 1-year deal. He's expiring after the season. Mason Taylor could be the best tight end you got on the roster. All-around complete player.
Have you looked at these quarterbacks the way that you need to? I mean, would you consider any of those guys in the second round?
Not in the second round, no. I think at 76 is where I'd start considering like a Kyle McCord, maybe. But I like Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders I've got as the round 2 players.
Yeah.
I don't think neither of them are going to be there. Next thing I've got McCord in the 3rd. But otherwise, like I'm hoping to maybe get in the 5th round, could you snag a Seth Hennigan from Memphis? See an option for you. I don't think at 44 I think you're going to be reaching on one of those names that are still available there for me. Unless it's Milroe. I'd consider Milroe at 44 if he's there, but it sounds like he's even going to go higher than that.
Yeah, I just worry about the quarterbacks. Like I say, I agree with you about the Milroe thing. I think that he is going to go a lot higher than what I have him at. But I wonder if Dallas you'd consider with the extra pick. If you somehow got the extra pick.
Yeah, if you move down, absolutely. And Milroe is there. I think that'd be a lot like what the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts a couple of years ago. And the Cowboys apparently were considering that. So I'd be very open to that idea.
Yeah, I think so too. I think with the extra pick, I would more than look at it. Without the extra pick, I think I would wait.